Hello and welcome everyone. This is MrSovr with a AGK tutorial or app game kit. This tutorial is going to be slightly different from the previous ones. Just got done with the Freedom Engine to showcase video. So if you want to see that, you can go to the video behind this one that I uploaded to see that. Really great way to try out stuff that I'm doing on the tutorials, but this is for bringing the bytecode of a Tier 1 app, which we have been doing in the previous tutorial videos. And I have here my own app right here, which I brought over to the Mac from the PC. And my YouTube was an app that I actually tried publishing but got rejected because it was practically just an app that had too many links to the internet, and they said, well, you just might as well use Safari for your stuff. But I figured I would probably use it for this tutorial. And what we have over here is the Mac OS X version of the AGK that I downloaded. Now, there's not too much of a difference with the actual Mac OS X and the Windows installer, except for the Windows installer is a .exe that you double click and it basically produces this in one of your directories under program files. But anyways, what we have here is we need to get our bytecode and all of our media in. Here's our bytecode.byc right here. So we need to have the interpreter for, in this case we're going to be doing iPhone and iPad stuff. We need the interpreter to read this bytecode so that our media and different functions within our app work perfectly. So we open up the AGK file, go into IDE, and then we go into apps. Now here we see different types of app interpreters, normal one, interpreter, Android, app up, iOS, and Mac. What we want is the iOS at the moment. And you need to have, like, I guess you don't need to have, but I would really prefer you to have the most updated Mac OS 10.8 and the most up-to-date Xcode. Just to explain some of the files here, here is the main project file that you double-click on to open up all the time. Classes are for the more native programming files for the interpreter work, and some of the classes, I believe, two of the files you're going to be using for programming, I believe. Here are the icons, icon.png and icon72, and we have the main, which is the main code. Like, I don't know too much about Xcode, just the basics, so I can't really explain too much. But the plist are basically just configuration files, and the default and default portrait are for the splash screen, basically. So let's open up our project, and let's see what we got. We're gonna have to do a lot of configuring, but it should be very easy to do. It took me a while to figure it out on my own, to be truthful. I had to ask a couple forum questions before I could figure it out. So here we have basically a blank screen of stuff. Well, first of all, this thing is indexing all the files and processing it, so we can actually see it on the project, which I will admit is taking a little while, so okay, there we go. Let it do its business. I believe you can click on here, and here's the different types of folders. Open up the classes. You got all these folders. Well, you're only going to be concentrating on these two: interpreter.c++ and interpreter.h. Now, the interpreter.h is going to be a file that initializes variables and stuff like that, and the interpreter.c++ is for coding all the stuff. Well, thankfully, the game creators actually did the programming for us. All we have to do is just make sure that it reads the bytecode file, and this, I believe, in one of the updates they fixed this where the bytecode's automatically available, but we want to double check this. So basically when you see a .byc, usually it's a precaution to type in like bytecode in there. But we want to figure out the iOS version. So they say Windows right here. Well, we're not using Windows, so we don't really need that. iOS is right here, so let's open that up. Let me see. Yeah, I think that is it. Just for precaution, again, I always like to type in all the bytecode, just for in case the computer's like freaking out or something. It knows to get the right bytecode in. So right here, put in bytecode.byc. Right here, put in bytecode.byc. And for the iOS, uncomment this and put this in here. And I believe for this one, put bytecode for this one. Even though we're not using Windows, it's still, for me, a precaution that I do. So now that we got that all done, we need to bring in our resources. Our resources are basically our media and bytecode. So I got a bunch of media in here. So what you want to do is make sure your bytecode is bytecode.byc. Usually when you download your whole entire media folder from an app, a tier 1 app, for example, usually they'll have the name of the app.byc. You need to change that to bytecode. Or unless you want to change all these bytecodes into the app name, you can do that too, but I would not prefer that. So basically what you do is you just select everything, hold down, and you kind of bring it over, and you see that blue line right there, and then resources is highlighted. Make sure that is like that and just place it anywhere. And what you want to do is to add to targets, select that, and from there it looks like it's pretty good, so then we click finish, and all of our resources are in there. Now, one major thing I would prefer everyone not to do is delete this folder, because then if you delete the folder, this is just reference media. It's not like it's copied into there. You could if you want to, but I tend to reference stuff because then it gets a little weird when you just copy stuff over. But you can still do it if you want to. So now that we actually have the bytecode in there, we converted all the bytecode in interpreter.c++. Now let's go into the actual project and fix everything in there. So we have our nice utilities, and for people that are using Xcode 3, you're not going to be seeing this, and I'm sorry for those people that are using Xcode 3 because everything's totally different actually. It's similar but different. So I guess I'm not going to be going over that one. I guess like maybe later on I might try to, but for now it's just Xcode 4. Now, so let's do our development target to, oops. Oh yeah, I have to hold down, I'm sorry. To 5.1. Why not 6? Well, the app game kit had sort of bit like a, not really much of an error. Like it turned out to be something with the architecture, and you want your like development target to be 5.1 even though it has 6.0 in it. The reason why was when the iPhone 5 came out, there was like something wrong with the architecture stuff. I think I just said that, but anyways, just do what I do and you should be alright. If universal devices, that means iPad and iPhone. The only difference is with iPad and iPhone is that if you only have iPhone, you only have this. You only have icons for iPhone and launch images for iPhone. But if you have Universal, you also have this, which doubles the work. If you want to do it, fine, but I'm only going to do iPhone for now. Well, actually, I'm not really going to do icons. Like, just make sure when you click over the actual, usually they tell you. So, like this one tells you a 57 by 57 pixels. Now I believe this one is don't just okay. This one's 114 by 114 pixels. Um, the launch images. This is 320 by 480. That's for like the I believe the iPhone 3GS and the older iPods. This one's for like the iPhone 4 and 4S, which is a 640 by 960. And this one for the new iPhone 5, 640 by 1136. Now, what are these? These are the icons that show up on the iPhone and on the the App Store. And this is when you first launch the app. They show like a launch screen or a splash screen. Now, what you do to set these files or icons and stuff is that you make the icon with GIMP, Photoshop, whatever, and then you make sure it's the right size, and then you just literally drag it over and put it over there. You don't have to like go into some weird options or anything like that to put the actual app in there. Now, this feature is kind of cool too. You can select whether landscape, right, left, upside down, or portrait actually is supported within your app, which is a cool feature, I personally think. A lot different than the other um, other Xcode. Same thing for here, but the only difference is the actual sizes for the icons are different. Like this one's 144 by 144. This one's 72 by 72. This one's 768 by 1024. This one's 1536 by 2048. And yes, that is a ridiculous resolution for such a small screen. And it's just switched since it's landscape. And that's basically how you set up the splash screens and the icons. I'm not going to go through all the time of making an icon and then put it in there. It's just very simple, just drag and drop type of stuff. So, we also have a couple other things up here. If you have signed up for the actual Xcode or iPhone program, you basically go into iTunes Connect, you create an app, and within the process of creating an app, there's this thing called a bundle identifier. You basically have, you select your type of certificate, and you add a certain thing at the end to make it unique from the other apps, which in this case is standard for AGK test app. Now, I am going to say hello, and basically it makes it unique from every other app, and it tells iTunes or the App Store that this is this certain app. This is like an identifier, an ID number for the app itself to notify other softwares that this is the app. Now, you just need to create your own. Like, I'm not going to go over how you do certificates and with the keychain and all that. I know it's a really hard subject, or a very hard part, at least for me it was. There's tutorials right on Apple and in the development group, videos, different sources. It's really not that bad if you follow the tutorials exactly. You have to be really exact, or else you might screw up something. But if you really, really have trouble, I might be able to help you through a personal message or something like that on YouTube. But anyways, moving on. We have the version. I wouldn't change the build. I never had to change the build, but version, usually you start out only with 1.0. There's no beta, alpha, any of that. There's no 0.9, 0. Whatever, 0.01. There's only 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and so on. And you can't do a third number at the end or a second decimal number. You can't do stuff like that. It's Apple standards. So now that we're done with the summary area, let's go into the info. Now, I don't really know too much about the info. You don't need to know anything too much about the info. But you kind of just look around, and here's the identifier that we just changed. The version, or the info directory version, bundle version. This you really don't need to look at because the summary kind of deals with the core stuff that you need to change. And the rest of it's done by the game creators. So then moving on to build settings, what you would want to do for this is, first of all, if you've put universal in here, if you change it to iPhone, for example, you can see that right here, targeted device family is equal to iPhone. iOS development target is iOS 5.1. So a lot of times the summary changes all the stuff for you. But there are some things in here that we have to change in order to make this work. First of all, the product name. Excuse me. The product name right here, you just have to click on the actual text to change the name of it. I'm gonna say this app was originally my YouTube, but I'm still gonna say hello for it, since we're not really publishing or anything like that. There are actual license or certificates, or what are these code signing things? I don't really know what to call them. But for now, we're not going to deal with this. We don't, well, if you've gone through the tutorial of doing the certificates and the keychain and all that, and then you downloaded the profiles from iTunes Connect and all that, you can switch it to developer or distribution, and therefore you can put your app on your iPhone, or just have it go on the App Store and sell it and stuff like that. But we're not going to go over it since we're just doing a virtual iPhone and iPad stuff. Now for here, we need to change this to iOS 6, because then usually there's like an error when you do stuff like that. Like the latest iOS thing doesn't really work out too well. So this looks alright. Build phases and build rules we don't really have to look at. Again, the game creators kind of fixed that up for us. Let's go into AGK interpreter, and here we change this to iOS 6. Kinda just fixed a lot of the stuff that we kind of did in here, but it doesn't change in the project. So it looks pretty good so far. But right here is very essential that you do this. You have to click the standard RQ, or the ARMv7 and the ARMv7S. The problem is the ARMv7S does not work with this AGK. So we had to click on the other, click on this, and do subtract. It takes away that, and then we press the plus button, and then we just type in ARMv7. And then we just click somewhere else, and there we go. That's all you really need to do for that one. We also need to change the device family to only iPhone, since I'm only doing an iPhone. And we can scroll down, and everything else you don't need to really worry about. So everything here looks really good. Now, I might run into an error, never know. But let's see if this actually works. Let's try the iPhone 6. Or the 6 OS or whatever. Not iPhone 6. Even though I do believe that the iPhone 5, like, I know it'd be a little awkward calling the iPhone 6 since you're skipping from 4S to 6, but whatever. Let's see how this works. And let's see if it actually runs. That's a big thing. If it doesn't run, then that means I got some editing to do. Okay, let me see here. Okay, everything looks good so far. Got the splash screen of the AGK. Okay. Yes, it did work. Thank goodness. I guess I really do know my stuff very well with the app stuff. So we have this little intro thing. You can just click to change it. This is my app. It does advertise my YouTube channel, MrSovr videos. Click on the button. You could change to different videos. Really cool stuff. You could go to our website, which you can go Yes, this is my website right here. It's a very nice one. Um, Also, we can play around with this. This is like other different apps I've done. It's really cool. We can click on hello again, go to our Facebook page. Uh, Again, you could just switch through all the different videos I have done, mainly Minecraft based. Why did this get rejected? Because all of its links and like no real function of the app itself. Like Apple is highly particular on what you do with the app, and it has to be user friendly, has to be really nice looking, no broken stuff in the app, and it has to be functional and try to be very independent, not based on other stuff like what I have here with links and all that. But that's the basic setup for the converting the bytecode into an interpreter. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos on how to do this stuff, especially with the app game kit. Make sure to check out the Freedom Engine video that I have. It's a wonderful video. Why? Because of the actual tools that it produces to make programming so much easier. And also make sure to like this video so more and more people can watch it and get help on how to do this. And also comment if you have any questions about any other more advanced stuff with publishing and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that with the videos because I don't want to be like showing all my stuff and iTunes Connect and all that. But also share this video on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, whatever. I thank you so much for watching, and see you later, guys.